Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to this beautiful live streaming. This is the third live streaming of the Thunderbird live development session where we talk about design and development, and I show you the workflow of the what I do on a usual Thursday morning. Is everyone here? Yes, hello everyone. So today, no green screen behind me because I didn't have much time. Actually, today I'm I feel pretty tired, so I apologize in advance if this stream is not gonna be super dynamic and super exciting like the others, but it seems that it's working, so we can start doing something good, something great, something beautiful. So hello everyone, hello Chris, hello Danny, hello Hamza. Oh, already so many people are joining. I got my coffee. I am ready to rock. So let's get started. I asked in the chat what you guys want me to talk about. What should we work on today? I have so many tasks, so many things. I feel super overwhelmed, but yeah, I wanted to find something that it's maybe of any interest for you. And Amza said the general layout or columns versus classic. Yeah, we can do an overview of that, but Colin asked, can we have a small recap of the work you've done on the message header? And the answer is yes. So let's do it. So first of all, let me switch cameras. There you go. So I actually shared... oh, continue this working problem and testing. Oh, this is great. I shared in the UX mailing list a quick recap here of all the work that I have done on the message header. If you're not signed to the UX mailing list, I strongly suggest you to do it. It's on, if I'm not wrong, is UX at Thunderbird something, but you can go also to thunderbird.topibox.com, and in the UX group you can see all the messages. This is the last one that I shared. It's basically a quick recap of the work that I've done on the message header, and I already got a bunch of feedback from the technical director, and Walt is one of our main reviewers and tester that helps us test all the releases. So yeah, if you're not in the UX mailing list, just subscribe there, because I share a lot of goodies, a lot of nice things. But anyway, let's do a quick recap of the message header here. This is the current situation that we have. This is a quick example of screenshots that I took in order to show what it's working, what it's not working. The first one is just from Linux, a simple screenshot of the standard situation of the message header. Here, this is pixelated because I just hid the email addresses, but here is you can see the first problem. When we shrink down the window a little bit, the buttons, they go on another line on top, and then if we shrink it even more, the buttons don't readapt, they get cut out. The whole content is not reachable because we don't have a scrollable area, but even a scrollable area here would be pretty nasty. So I started in last session, in the last live streaming, the session 2, I started doing some visual prototyping on how we can improve in these old situation, and this is what I came up with, and these are the results. So first of all, this is a pretty standard overall, like it's pretty sort of like pretty identical to what we have here, but as you can see, there's a little bit more breathing room. The content is a little bit more digestible. Also, I increased the font size. I'm using font size and font weight to better distinguish the different elements, so better distinguish the name. For example, here we have the from, the name and the email, they have the same weight. It's only separated by these bigger than and smaller than symbols that are whatever, is just the convention that we use. It's not very intuitive, and it just blends all together. Here instead, first the name, it's in bold, and then the email address, it's in light gray, but it's something that we can experiment here. The first thing is that this whole area should use CSS grid and Flexbox. The CSS grid should be used to define the main layout, and then Flexbox should be used to style the single elements, the elements inside the layout. That's the overall rule that everyone should follow. CSS grid for main layout, Flexbox for inside elements, in order to make them fluid and adapt to the space that we have. So in this case, this is a very quick example. If we have too many buttons and there's not enough space for the name to be in line, name and email address, we can easily wrap the two elements. If this is like a Flexbox row and these are two flex elements, we can tell them to auto stack in this case, or wrap around, so the email and the name and email address will be stacked one on top of another. And in this case, we can fit all the buttons. This other situation here, it's a little bit tighter. When we don't have enough space, we can automatically hide the labels if you have a very narrow window, and we can just use icon buttons, which improves a lot the space. It's very, very nice, especially also for seasoned users, for like experienced user, that they always reply with a shortcut, Control or Command R, or they only click the single button to reply or to delete. Like, this is pretty obvious for someone that it's used to use Thunderbird or an email client, so this is pretty standard stuff. This option also, we are considering to allow user to customize this thing. So you can probably, like, we're thinking, click the more button, you're gonna have a drop down with a checkbox that says use only icon buttons, or icon plus labels, or icon plus text, whatever. If you check icon buttons, these are gonna be just icon visible. And in this case, we have enough space to let the name and email address be in line. The other change that I would like to introduce is the icons here, because right now in this situation, we're using the star icon to save a name into the address book, but the star icon is actually used to set, like, flag a message as favorite or important. So it doesn't make sense to use the same star icon for two different contexts, two different things. One to flag the message as important, the other one to add the message, add the recipient or email address into the address book. It's kind of disconnected. So let's change it. Let's keep the star to flag a message as important or not important, so you can still do it not only in the message thread but also in the message header, but also use a more appropriate icon for the email address or the user that is sending you the email. So here, since this user is not in our address book, we're gonna have this little icon that says plus, hey, add it to your address book, which is way more intuitive. And here we can also better organize this section. Right now we list every time you have a row. For example, if it's to CC reply to, we have list, like it's one after another. They don't stack, they don't collapse. And if you have a lot of addresses here, we try to fit as many as possible, and then we use a more ... link in line, which is just text, which is all the way pushed to the right. So it's just like here, it doesn't really work. It feels very clunky. So here we can, right off the bat, collapse all those addresses that are not in the to. Of course, CC and reply to or follow or whatever other type of headers may be important, but the most important one is the to. So in order to save space and have a more cohesive UI, we can collapse all together and use the bold font variation to highlight if there are other addresses or other headers inside. If you click more, it expands and you have each row with their own things. So this is way more organized. Another thing that we were considering here is to give the ability to the users, is inside the options as a customization option, to hide the labels. Because let's be honest, like, if you've been using your email address or your email client for even a week or 2 weeks or months, like, you know that the first element is, oh, this is the user that sent the email, and the second, oh, this is the subject, and at the bottom you have all the addresses to the CC, the recipient to the reply to. So why do we keep, like, do we really need every time, all the time, the from, subject, to? Of course, there are some users, especially like a user that they use the screen reader, or new users that never used this email client before. They need these. These are very important. But we always want to give the option to experience the user to adapt the UI and remove things that are maybe redundant for them. So through the user preferences, we can just hide these labels, and look how much space we save here, which is phenomenal. And this is just an example of how something actually used might look, because it's always better to try to simulate real data, real content, and not just do design with fake data with lorem ipsum. So this is probably the layout that I personally would use because I like it. So force the icons to only have, force the buttons to only have icons, only use icons. And then the email, if is saved into the address book and we have like profile picture, just shows the profile picture, but here it's highlighted in blue because it confirms that these subject, these recipients is saved in our address book, and this message is marked as favorite. So you can see how clean and more digestible this whole area. Even like we have a lot of information here. There's a lot of things, a lot of text, a lot of icons, a lot of interaction points, but this is more manageable than something like this that cramps a little bit all together, and the elements they stack on top of each other is not the best. So this is the solution I arrived. This was another test I saw around, especially Gmail. I think Outlook does it, but Proton Mail, if I'm not wrong, a lot of other email clients, they tend to put the subject line as first element. But I'm not sure we want to do it. I got a good feedback from the technical director. I said the subject line is very variable. It could be very short, very long. It could be a lot of like filled with junk. It could force this whole thing to go on multiple lines. So having it as a first element, it will always clash with the icons. The email address of the sender, it's most likely less random, and we can easier stack it together since we always deal with two elements. We never deal with more than two elements. We always deal with the full name and the full address, and that's it. And those two elements, we can control them better. So it's always better to, it's just for layout reasons, it's better to have it on top. It makes more sense if you guys agree. So this is the situation that we are, and it seems that for now I just got a couple of feedback, but it seems that it's a good approach. So probably in one of the next live streaming, we're going to start actually coding this. Would be nice to have this full-on project implemented via live streaming, so I can show you what it has been done and what's the process to implement a new thing, to create a new bug, and do a lot of like extra cool things. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the chat while I read your comment. Hello everyone. Hello Ram Kumar. Hello Huma. Hello Abraham. It's my first time it's my first time. Can someone tell me what is Thunderbird? And Danny Collin answer, it's an email client. It's an email client from Mozilla. Not really from Mozilla, was from Mozilla. It's basically Firefox, but an email client. So it's super privacy oriented, privacy focused. We don't track your personal data, we don't sell your data, we don't do anything. It's just like, it's open source also, so you can do whatever you want with it. Danny says, oh, finally an icon only version. Yeah, it's pretty good. What tool do you use to make these mockups? Chris asks. I use Figma. Chris Perko, the lovely Chris Perko, which is an outstanding developer. I use Figma. This is there's no title here, but it's Figma. It's an Electron app. For Linux, there's only basically the Electron version wrapped around a container. You can use it also on the browser. You can use it on Firefox or Chrome. For Windows and macOS, they use a sort of like native-ish version, but it's just an Electron-based app. So, and it's free. Like if you don't do collaborative work, if you don't do like very massive projects, it's completely free. So you can use it. It's pretty good. Android, is this the web client for Thunderbird? Flexbox? Okay, no, it's not the web client for Thunderbird. It's Thunderbird. This is a UI mockup that I'm doing for the new version of Thunderbird. Flexbox is a CSS attribute. What is that? It's a CSS declaration approach. How do you describe Flexbox? It's a series of CSS attributes that allow you to create fluid layouts with very few lines, and it's widely supported by all the browsers. So since Thunderbird is built on top of Firefox, we can use simple standard CSS because at the core, Firefox will interpret that CSS and render it properly. So it's very dynamic. Okay, Figma for mockup and UX written in what JavaScript node? Yes, so the core of Thunderbird as well as the core of Firefox is written in C++. But since Firefox is a web browser and Thunderbird is built on top of Firefox, we can we can run JavaScript code or HTML or CSS code because Firefox is the core engine, the web engine of Firefox is the core base of Thunderbird. So mostly like the majority of the interface or the front-facing area of Thunderbird is built in XHTML, CSS, and JavaScript. There are some elements of XBL we removed the XUL or XUL, which is like a web, it's not a web standard, but it's a web implementation created by Firefox itself, by Mozilla, at the time when native HTML elements weren't as powerful. But now we're slowly removing these XUL elements from the core and the interface and using just standard HTML because HTML is pretty flexible and it's adaptable to pretty much everything we need. Sapphire, thanks for doing these streams. Thanks for joining. It's beautiful. Yeah, Danny Collins said correctly, the backend is in C++ and Rust. Yes, there are a lot of sections in the core and the backend that are being ported to Rust, which is great because it improves a lot the speed, the performance, and also the compiling times, which is phenomenal. Chris, no, you're too kind, Chris. Responsive layout, thanks, Alessandro. Yay, it's good. Oh yeah, Danny correctly shared the Mike Conley live streaming. He does that for Firefox every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern times, which is great. This is the beauty of open source. We can show the full process of what we do without the risk of breaking an NDA or like, oh no, we're doing something secretive that no user should know. This is just open source code, and you can see the entire decision process behind it, and you can see like, why are you making these changes? Because of these reasons, and you can participate and tell us, well, I think you should do this better, and blah blah blah. So yeah, that's the thing. But anyway, let's code something a little bit. So this layout now, it's under review, if we want to say. I shared it in the UX mailing list, and I'm gathering feedback. Probably in a week or two, we're going to start the implementation. So maybe next Thursday, we can start working on this new header, message header from scratch. It would be awesome. But now we can start coding. I have a lot of patches that I need to finish, but one of the patches that I showed you in the first live streaming was the multiple folder view. And in the multiple folder views, I found a bunch of very nasty issues that forced me to rewrite a lot of those sections. So now we're gonna analyze all those sections, and you're gonna see a million different errors, and probably the application is gonna crash because I'm rebuilding the whole section from scratch, and it's a shit show. Abhishek asks, Vala versus Rust, your opinion? Quite different. It depends on preferences. I prefer Vala because it has a lot of native bindings, especially Vala if you're doing GTK application. Vala, for me, it's better. It's easier. But Rust is getting more and more powerful, and the fact that Rust it's developed and supported by Mozilla, if I'm not wrong, it gives me a lot of hopes. So yeah, it's not. I don't think that one is better than the other. We're not saying what do you prefer. It's like the same argument. Like, what do you prefer, .NET or PHP? They can both do the same thing. You can have the same result. It's just based on your personal preference. You're not saying like what is better, COBOL, Turbo Pascal, or PHP or C++. Like, of course, like more modern technologies are better than outdated and old technologies, but Vala and Rust are pretty modern and pretty supported, both pretty supported. And so yeah, it's basically just based on your personal preferences. Reply all button is hidden when there's only one recipient. Right? Yeah, that's correct. These already happen. So for example, if I have so for example, here you can see I have the this is a mailing list, the UX box mailing list. So we have the button that automatically goes, hey, you want to reply the list, reply to all, and just reply. Instead, if I have only one recipient, is just reply and forward, because I was just Rob sent me these, so there's no reply all. It's pretty smart. Like the layout adapts based on what you're reading and watching. And if you receive a message from an RSS feed, you're gonna have like follow or unfollow. Like, it adapts based on what you need. Okay, I'm gonna read these messages later, but okay. So what I was saying here, yeah, a little bit of let me grab a sip of coffee. I'll check it out. Happy chic, lol. I love seeing you guys writing in the chat. Just like one day, if we have enough people, we should do a live streaming where I just read the chat. You guys talk with each other. I comment. I do like live react to your YouTube chat or something like that. Some bullshit like that. I'm sure someone thought about it and they already did, because everything is a live react now. There's no more original content. It's just react to all content, which is great. But anyway, so yeah, let's update this thing. So let me show you the updates on the folder view and all the destruction that I brought to Thunderbird. Because of this, I need to update the patches. So I need to put the folders view on top, and then push, and then build. It's building. Oh, it's taking a little bit. Yeah, you can see like it took 11 seconds just to apply the patch. It's not too bad, but I wish it would be faster. Like, I'm used to web technologies, especially like compiling with Webpack or something similar, and it just takes a millisecond. So you just save and you check, and then you have to, in this case, you have to wait 11, sometimes like 20 seconds to build. It's not that much, but at the end of the day, if you build a lot and you update a lot of code, it adds to the waiting time, which is not the best. So yeah, that's why I'm building a new computer. I got the 5950X from AMD. I'm still waiting for the GPU, which because the GPU market is just a fucking wasteland right now. But I'm waiting for the GPU, and after that, I'm gonna just do a video about my new computer. So we have the patch applied, compile, just run TB, and we're gonna have a million different JavaScript errors here because yeah, you can see this is disruptive. So, but it works. You can see here we have multiple folder views here. Right now I'm showing the recent and the old folders, and automatically these headers are generated. And that's the issue. That's where the issue lies. These headers, because of the way this folder pane is built and structured, these headers have to be folders because the three children accepts, basically like assumes that every single item is just a folder. So the fact that I created this custom header not as a folder, it just makes the code freak out because assumes that, hey, where's the folder? Oh my god, I'm losing the folder. And this header, because it, like, whenever you receive a message or update the color or open and close a children, like a child or multiple folders, it refreshes the entire tree. This is a XUL element, a 3 XUL element, which is very fast and refreshes without you noticing that it's refreshing something, which is very, very good. But the problem is that since it refreshes all the time, every time we interact with any element, it just every time stumbles upon those fake folders and just freaks out. And it's just yeah, he hates me. The first approach that I did in the one that you saw in the first live streaming was basically I was creating these fake local folders as headers, as section headers. The problem is that every time I created a local folder, a fake one, even if it wasn't attached to anything, it was like a standalone header section, it was appearing in the local folder here. Like you can see here, we have our local folders. Every time I was creating the old folders, recent folders, or if I was enabling like unified or read folders, after restarting Thunderbird, all these headers were appearing here as actual folders. So at every restart, those folders were getting recreated and put it there, even if they're not supposed to be folders. So massive issues. I tried to, okay, let's delete those fake folders when we unload, when we shut down Thunderbird. But we have a safe, like a fail safe in place that every time you delete a folder, you have to confirm it, because of course, like, we don't want to accidentally delete folders without the user knowing. So basically, whenever you were closing Thunderbird, you were getting these boom, 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 boom alerts. Hey, are you sure you want to delete? Confirm. Are you sure you want to delete? It was just terrible. So the solution here is to, let me shut down and see like a million different JavaScript errors because, yeah, I can't find it. The solution here is to FolderPaint.js. Let's access, and let me know, guys, if this font is large enough. But I created this fake prototype item, FTV item header. Create mode header. Yeah, there you go. Basically, I'm creating this fake item that has all the methods that the other folder items have. So the ID, the text, get the column text, get the properties. If it's a command, that we're going to implement the command later, but all the base methods in order to generate the folder header. But this FTV item header doesn't have a folder. But if we check, for example, the FTV item, the default one, the prototype default one, not the smart, yeah, there you go. You see, we have a folder. We have these underscore folder. When we use the underscore in an attribute name, it's supposed to be private. So it's supposed to be something that you don't directly change from outside the method. It's just a convention. It doesn't add any protection. It's just a writing convention that we use. But basically, whenever we create a new item, so for example, if I search for a new FTV item, yes, you can see whenever we generate a folder, we push, in order to generate this item, we push the folder and potential filters, if that's a smart folder or whatever. But we assume that we always have a folder. And in this FolderPaint.js, if we search for _folder, you can see that every time we do something, especially at the beginning here, whenever we sort the folder items, we assume that we have a folder. Whenever we get folders a coordinate, we assume that the item has a folder, and so on. Like, we do loops and we assume that the item has a folder. We check if an item can be dropped or dragged, and we assume as for like target folder. We don't even check if we have or we don't have. That's why all those massive, like these constant JavaScript errors, because we just assume by default that we don't have, that we have a folder. The other suggestion that I got was to, instead of creating FTV item header prototype, instead of creating these fake item that doesn't have a folder, we should use a smart folder or a smart item. Smart items basically are not prototype. Smart items are basically all those elements that are not coming directly from your folders list. So for example, like local folders or your account name that is the wrapper around all your inboxes or your folders. This is a smart folder because this is not a folder. Like, it doesn't come from anything. Like, we don't have a folder named as your account. But since all these inbox drafts and all the default folders of an account coming from the server are like, they belong to your account name, we need to create a folder in order to organize them. So we create this folder, which is a smart folder, we call it that way. And we handle this situation in this way. So the suggestion was that I could use a smart folder, but the smart item, as you can see, uses the regular item prototype. So also the regular item prototype expects a folder, which, I guess like the smart item is not saved anywhere because that's generated dynamically, so we won't have the issue of having those folders appearing everywhere. But it's pretty strange. So I'm not sure. This is something that I have in the can, like I have in the list as a possible backup. Like, if my approach of creating an item that doesn't depend on a folder doesn't work, let's fall back to using a smart folder. But also it's a bit convoluted why we should fake a folder if a header is not a folder. Like, we're doing all these rigmarole and say, okay, should be like, it's not a folder, but let's pretend that it's a folder, but let's not save it as a folder. Let's just use, it's just a mess. So I don't know if it makes sense. Sorry if this is not interesting. It's just boring as hell. But yeah, that was my approach. So I decided to go with the item header prototype here, and we have the ID that has a folder view, which it's good, and we just have a name, level 0, parent, and the mode of the folder. So if it's all folders, recent, unread, smart, and blah blah blah. So yeah, that's the thing. Now I have to go around and fix pretty much everything. So you're gonna see me doing a lot of bad JavaScript code. So let's read a bunch of comments. Chris Perko says, live stream PC build. No, never. No, that's never gonna happen. If I live stream my PC build, you will lose faith in my ability to do anything smart. I will record it and publish a video after heavy editing because I don't trust myself in building a PC. Every time I build a PC, and it's not that I build a lot of PCs, I build like 4 PCs in my whole life, and every time it takes probably like 6 hours because, oh, I put these, oh no, wrong, oh no, wrong, oh no, let me read the manual, oh no, I'm doing things wrong, okay, let's restart. Like, it's not great. No. Is the font Fira code? I think so. I don't remember. Font. Come on. Yeah. Fire code ready on display because I'm on a 4K monitor. Yay. Arek asks, why do Linux graphic user interface have lines everywhere? Looks so dated because of them. Do you mean these lines or do you mean these? You mean these lines? Like, what do you mean? I mean, yeah, it's a design approach. I too am not like a fan of having all those lines, but it's this sort of toolbar layout that we're trying to improve and fix, I guess, if that's what you were referring to. Heading area separated by lines, header separated by lines of border. I'm all for affordance, but I think it's too much. Yeah, Arek, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And in fact, like when I started working at Thunderbird, I started doing some design. And I started proposing, let's remove those lines. Let's use white space. Let's use a better organization of space and remove those line border. It's too much. I got hammered by negative comments from the community. Apparently, there are a lot of users who like lines, and they're like the obvious visual separation of those lines. I'm trying to slowly change that state of mind and that approach by organizing better. Unfortunately, in the state of Thunderbird right now, it's because of the way the interface is built, we need lines. Without lines, it would be just a mess of elements all together, and it's all squished together. So with time, we will improve this. But yeah, as a first impression, I had the same feelings, like why so many lines? Why everything is so cramped and squished together? So yeah, I agree with you. More questions. What database does Thunderbird use? Thunderbird uses SQLite database for very simple things that we store in your profile. And something else which I don't remember right now. Le Croix is French, is it right? Can a feature showing bubble counter be added for Pantheon? I have no idea. I'm not a Pantheon developer. Just ask the elementary as folks. IndexedDB and SQLite, yeah, okay, isn't standardized things. Make the lines settings option. Yeah, Chris suggests to make all the lines a settings up, like checkbox, remove all the lines and just white space all around, all these floating elements around. That would be neat. That would be very, very neat. Sandro Forbice, please add white space. I did a presentation about white space on Thunderbird, and there was one user that hated it like so much that he did a dissertation on why my presentation was disingenuous, and I was trying to trick users in thinking that white space was good, instead it was evil and I'm the worst because I was being deceptive. And I created a presentation to trick the users and bullshit like that. Whatevs. Emmanuel, what is Firebase not using such applications? Because Firebase is not for these type of applications. just read the documentation of Firebase, what it's needed for, how it's used, and check the source code of Thunderbird and Firefox and check why. And you will see it's a longer discussion that I don't want to get into it. But Firebase is not for these type of applications. It's not, fortunately. It doesn't scale. It doesn't adapt for what we need. It's a very we should, like, this is a common question that we should first think of. Why do we want to use the latest and greatest technology? Now, everyone says, oh, let's rebuild everything in Rust, or let's use Firebase, or why don't you use React, or why don't you use, like, it's not about jumping on the bandwagon of this is better, this is cooler, let's just use that. Let's analyze the infrastructure and what it needs to be supported and how feasible it is and how this whole architecture is built, and find the right tool for the right job. And especially Thunderbird and Firefox, they have source code that have been going on for 15-20 years. And just because there's a new type of database that it's created 5-6 years ago, it's not just snap the finger, okay, let's jump to that one. Like, the amount of rewrite and the amount of update and the amount of everything is just too much. It's just not. Especially, like, the Thunderbird doesn't have a lot of things stored into a database. It's not a database heavy application. We use SQLite because it's very light, it's open source, it's easy to manage, it's globally usable. Like, everyone in every operating system, in every distribution can use SQLite without a database manager. You can just open the it can be open as a text, like, just without a database manager. And also, we don't store, like, your address book is stored as a cardav, and we use other things, like we use other web standards that have been around for a long time in order to guarantee backward compatibility and easy of use. But yeah, I'm going I'm digressing. Le Croix, bubble countering Pantheon for Thunderbird. Oh, you were saying for Thunderbird. Well, it's not an objective, unfortunately, right now to support specific Linux distributions, because every Linux distribution, especially elementary OS or other more heavily coded, how can I say, like, pretty much every Linux distribution has its own approach. A lot of them, they use standard approaches. For example, the counter in Ubuntu, I think it works on the pop-up. The notification works, but we use something that it's supposed to work in every Linux distribution. Elementary OS has its own custom implementation of the counter, so we don't have the resource in it, and we don't tailor features only for one Linux distribution. We try to be as broad as possible because it's costs of, like, maintenance and development cost. It's not feasible for now. That's the main. These are the main reason. So a flat file, no ORB. What's ORB? If you're referencing the database, yeah, it's mostly a flat file. It's mostly like a flat IndexedDB or SQLite file. Like, we really have. I'm not sure I will work on database related things, but if I end up working on database related things, I will. We will take a look at what we handle, but let's code a little bit here. I'm digressing a lot here. So one thing that we could try here in the FT editor, if we define the folder as a null item. So if we do this, we rebuild. Run, probably we're gonna have 1,000,000. Yeah, still the folder, but at least now folder is null, which is perfect, because now we know that if the folder is null, don't do anything. Don't just destroy our JavaScript thing. Don't eject all these errors, blah, 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 server. So one thing that we could do, we have actually, that's the thing that we can optimize here. We have a method that returns the folder. So we have a method that returns, get folder for index. And this returns the index folder. And if this is null, we shouldn't try to go on. We shouldn't try to continue. So get folder for index is used. Oh, it's not used anywhere. Oh my God, seriously? In the folder display header, that folder, and now we folder index is not present. Desirable folder push, and then push, and you see. Okay, this is interesting. So we have a method that returns the folder, and automatically, if we don't like it, nothing matches null, so we accept a null return. But why inside the tree itself we're not using it? We always assume that a folder is always present, which is not. Okay, so let's start from the top. Let's start updating this thing. So let's go back. This is the first one. Okay, get folder at coordinates. If row, it's in row map, return g folder. So this is correct because we return null. So this method, this is an helper method, so it's fine that it's returning null because we assume it's already returned nulls. Get folder, this is correct. Here, this is the for get the selected folders. Push folder array. This is another helper method that pushes a null. So we do this. Actually, let's leave it like that for now. I can drop. Okay, so let's do this. If target, this is already good. So this is already accounting for a null target folder. That's perfect. What are we doing here? Can drop. This is the same. So this method, it's fine. We can leave it like this because we're already interrupting if the folder doesn't exist. Drop. The folder doesn't exist. Drop. Get image source folder server. RSS folder is server. Root item folder. Let's add these. Get image search if folder or. So we account for the folder being null. We return. Then persist item open. We're passing here persist item open. We need to update that. Then here, this is the toggle row. So whenever we click to toggle or we open and close, folder server, expand, perform expand. So we interrupt here if folder, we return because we don't need to continue executing this code. This was a server that was expanded, let it update it counts. We don't need to update any count if we don't have a folder at all. Persist item close is another thing we need to account. Previous children, what are we doing here? What's the method? Add smart folders for flag. So is the child folder server, sorry, previous child. If we have consecutive children with the same server, okay, this is a situation where we wouldn't possibly stumble upon a null folder because we are on the children. Add child to view, parent children. So since the folder get index of folder, since our header is only a level 0, doesn't have any parent, doesn't have any children, we shouldn't stumble upon this situation, which is good. And then last child index, add child to view, last child index, last element child is always a children of the parent. So if it's already a parent, it's fine. As mar subfolder, this should be fine. Get flags. Always a smart folder, because we cannot create a smart folder as a children of a header view, so should be fine. Add folder, if child folder item, let's child all children. These all the children from a parent, and the parent is the parent index, so we should be good, shouldn't be bad here. Get flags, same thing. Okay, I think it's covered because FTV item, folder URI, this is the item, we don't interact with the item at all, and the item it's good, folder total, folder size, blah, 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 blah. Okay, folder URI, okay, this is good, and then we have the folder new. So we need to update and sort folder items, sort the past in array of folder item using the folder sort key. Where is this used? Small children, root children, parents, these children. Okay, yeah, it's sorting the children. So potentially this shouldn't be a problem because item headers don't have any child. So this shouldn't interact with anything. So the thing that we need to update is to persist the open state. No, persist open. No persist. What is that? What was the toggle row? Underscore toggle row method. The toggle row method that has persist item open. That's what I was looking for. The persist item open gets the item that assumes that it's a folder. So we do this if item, so it's a folder, return. And then we also have a persist item close that we can copy this thing. So these parameter can be or null, the folder item, or null. If it exists, it makes more sense. So same thing here, we can check persist item closed. We don't want to do anything if we don't have that. And this is might be null folder item if it exists. Okay, let's see how many more JavaScript error we have here. Mac build. Let me read some question. Why Thunderbird cannot be always open in the background? Ellie, are you asking? Are you asking in Windows? Are you asking you as a user or me as a developer? As a developer, call in answer, because Thunderbird is not just a simple web application. It's an app that it's built, like the core is on C++ and JavaScript, so it's running. If I change things, it's not dynamic. I need to rebuild, especially if I change some core components. If you're talking about Windows, Mac OS, you can minimize it to tray and leave it open in the background, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not wrong. I might be 100% wrong. Okay, Chris is going to write some unit tests. Good luck with unit tests. Yeah, one thing that we have at Thunderbird, we have a lot of tests as well. We have a lot of like monkey tests, XP shell tests. Yeah, I've been writing tests a lot in the past week. So maybe another session would be on how to write a test. It would be minimize to tray. Is the only thing I miss in Thunderbird. Nidus. If you're on Windows, it should work. If it doesn't work, do a report in Bugzilla. Open a bug and tell us, hey, it doesn't work because you're stupid. Just tell us that. No, don't tell us that we're stupid. Million JavaScript error. Yes, still a lot of error. So let's say FolderPaint. It's always the same part. 1169. 69. Sorry. 1169. Is container empty? There you go. We assume that children is undefined. So children length, because I didn't specify the children in FTV item. So the get level, children, null, get children. Let's specify these. So the item header or every folder, we assume that we have children, but since these item doesn't have children, we can simply return an empty array. So that should do it. Nidus. It works? Ah, it works. So you Nidus, you're on Windows. He just wrote it works. Yeah, it works. Great. I'm happy. Alrighty. Hey, look at that. No JavaScript issue. And if I go, yay. Okay, this is an error. So if I click, is server found command. So yeah, we're getting to the bottom of it. Look at this. Look at this. It's good. It's good. So folders 0. So we assume there's a folder. There you go. On line 1398. 1398. Boom. There's too much responsiveness issues on your Thunderbird website. Wasim, you can go, if you find an issue on the Thunderbird website, you can go on GitHub and search for Thunderbird website. It's on Thundernest Thunderbird website. You open an issue and tell us what's the issue here on the Thunderbird website. What is the issue on the Thunderbird website? I built that, so should be good. Oh, if it's not good. Yeah, minimize to tray works fine on Windows. Yes, we fixed that. I remember we fixed that, so it's good, right? What is the issue, like the responsive issue here on the website? What page? Not these. This should work. Let me put iPhone. What is the responsive issue here? Features. Let me know what is this. This is the issue? Oh, let me know. Well, as I said, if you find an issue on the website, you can go on the GitHub page and open an issue here. Check the About Us page. Let's check the About Us page. About Us. Okay. And in which resolution should I check the About Us page? Oh, boop. This one? Okay, there you go. Yeah, found. Okay, good stuff. Okay, thank you. Yeah, if you want, open a GitHub issue, take a screenshot of this, and tell us. Like, I know what's happening. This text is not properly wrapping. Okay, is this bottom menu that doesn't stack? It's a Flexbox. Very, very easy thing. Ali, what about Linux? What do you mean? Minimize to tray? You can already minimize Thunderbird to your dock or whatever. You can hide it and it stays in the background open without hiding it. We don't support the Linux tray for now, because as always, like every Linux distribution has its own implementation, and which is a little bit of a shit show. It's hard to implement, but I think we are considering it. but I'm not sure. What was the, I still have, okay, smart folder. No, it's not this. What was the error here? Let me go back. 1398. Wait, what? Wait, what? Oh, it's a different page. Yay! Okay, there you go. It's a different page. 1398. 1398. There you go. Is folder selected? Folder's length. Get selected message folder. What is this? First of all, this is a let. We're not using variables anymore. So function. Get selected message folder. Ooh, a lot of repetition here. Return G folder. Get selected folders. Get selected message folder. Okay. So here we say return folders. And so here we're returning okay, this returns all the folders selected. Okay, I see what's happening. So these return, it doesn't return one folder, but returns all the folders and all the folders selected. So one thing that we need to do is not allowing selecting a folder like an item that doesn't have a folder. That's why I just grab the first one. So let's see, the function that we're using here is get selected folders in our tree view, which is here, the get selected folder. It's here. Give me that, give me that, give me that. There you go. Selection, this selection, folders, array. Oh, there you go, folders, array, push. So we don't need to push this. We don't want to push the null. So let's do this. Let folder equal this, and we do if folder, we push into the array only if we have a folder. This should do it, right? Or you have a better approach? Maybe there's a better approach, but I'm gonna do it this way and ask for a review, and it's gonna be rejected. No, it's okay. Let's see. No JavaScript errors here. If I click, if I try to drag, nothing happens. It's still inbox selected. Oh, look at that. This is gorgeous. Yay, we fixed it. Look at that. Yay, we fixed it. Woo! I'm so happy. This is a long way coming. Let's see, like recent, collapsed, unified, unread, favorite, recent. Let's open them all. Look at that. Look how fast this is. Like so many folders, but it's super fast. Of course, you can't. Okay, nice. Look at this. Beautiful. Let's do recent. Yes. Okay. Perfect. We fixed it. Let's refresh this patch. So good. Are you guys stoked? I'm stoked. I thought that was going to be harder, but it isn't, actually. You know what? Here, instead of doing this JavaScript thing, why don't we get folder at index? Because we have the index. Yeah. Get folder at index. Ooh. What is that? Get folder for index. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Because it already returns the null if the index is bigger, so we can avoid this condition altogether and say let folder equal get folder index and pass the index, and we need to use the 3 because we're inside G folder 3 view. This is where this method lives, and now here we can have only one condition and avoid these multiple condition here. So if this belongs here, add it to selection, and let's see if we broke the selection. We might have broken the selection, but we don't know. Para-pa-para. Okay. No errors here. If I select. Perfect. And then I select this and nothing happens. Great. Love it. It works. Okay, of course, like all these things, like whenever I change something and I manually test it, it's not foolproof. It's not like, okay, I'm sure that this works and it's totally fine. The actual proof of this is to using our testing facility, which is something that I'm gonna show you in the next live streaming probably. Hopefully in the next live streaming, this folder view thing will be implemented. So what we have here, we have a little tool called 3Herder, and this is something that Firefox uses. And basically what we can do here, we can push our code to this remote server where we can pinpoint and select like what do we want to run. We have a try server where we can push our code, our patches. You can see here there are some patches that have been pushed, and with some specific flags we can say, hey, run all the tests on Linux, Windows, and macOS. So basically this remote server build all our distribution, all the things that we want. So first does a linting issue, see just a linting check. It checks if all the code is linted properly, respect the prettier and ESLint convention. Then does a build for Windows 2012, Windows 10, Windows 7, Linux, and also Mac OS, which is not here, but it's here, OS X, yes. And then after does a build, if it's successful, the build is successful, runs all the tests. And when we have an orange or a red, if it's red, it's busted. It means that it wasn't able to run it. When we have an orange flag, it means that there's a test that failed. So whenever something like I'm doing right now, I'm changing the core a lot. I'm changing the core of the folder tree and updating all these things. Before landing this patch on Thunderbird itself into core, we push it to the try server and let it run all the tests and see if we broke something, because we almost have, I wouldn't say 100% test coverage, but a lot, like a high percentage of test coverage, so which is good. Okay, think we're getting almost at the end of this stream. It was all an hour or something, so which is good, right? Oh, there's a lot of people watching. Hello everyone. Let's read a bunch of questions. Yeah, Ali Molai says, Linux is very messy in terms of handling the tray icons, the minimize to tray, because yes, every Linux distribution basically has its own implementation, desktop environment, blah blah. Understand? Question mark. Hi, hello, thanks for joining. What is this about? And Danny answered correctly. Live hacking on the Thunderbird email client. Great stuff. Thank you so much, Adroit. Let me know, guys, if you have any question. I'm thinking in the next Paxi, how do I get there? Go to, what's the URL? 3Herder treeherder at mozilla.org. Let me share here. Can you see these? treeherder.mozilla.org. And inside there, you can see all the repos. It's publicly available. You can see Firefox building daily. Like every day, there's a new build of Firefox that gets released. You can see the old beta version or the old ESX 68. And the com dash is the Thunderbird repositories. And there's everything here. The server, the web render, and the I think that's also the like the mobile version, but I'm not sure. But yeah, you can check you can check everything and check all the bugs that landed. In the last month, we fixed 140 bugs, which is pretty impressive. Hello, sir. My name is Govind, and I'm from India. Hi, Govind. What are you teaching? I can't understand. Yeah, me neither. I don't know what I'm doing. No, I'm not teaching anything. I'm just live hacking on Thunderbird, the email client. I'm just showing. It's morning and right now in Canada, and I'm working on Thunderbird, so I decide to do this live streaming to show the things that I do on a regular morning. So yeah. Alrighty. Very interesting. Thanks. You're very welcome. Paxi Lexi Fixi. I love your handle. That's a great handle. Okay. So yes, a couple of things actually before we conclude. First of all, if you want to contribute to Thunderbird, go to thunderbird.net and check all the things that you can help us in contribute. Like if you want to donate even $1, like if you don't know, Thunderbird is not paid by Mozilla. We are 100% independent, and we survive only on donation. So if you want to share, just share these, donate $1 or whatever. Just share these. It will help us a lot because we are the only email client that it's fully open source and fully privacy oriented, and it's not collecting your private information. So yay. Also, if you want to get involved, you can check the developer documentation. The developer documentation is really well done. I like it. You can start like building and hacking on Thunderbird on whatever operating system you are, Windows, Mac, Linux. And you can code and submit patches, you can run tests, you can fix bugs, you can help us a lot. Or if you don't know how to code, you are a designer or you're a content writer, whatever, you can contribute on whatever you want. You can check the design thing. We have the, this is the element, what's it called, matrix chat. We have the Thunderbird Design Plus UX channel that you can join. It's completely open. Go to the matrix of Mozilla and you can contribute to whatever you want. And there's also a mailing list that it's, if I'm not wrong, let me write a message here. It's UX at thunderbird.topic.box.com. You can join the mailing list for the user experience design, and you can help us improve Thunderbird, because we know that in terms of design, Thunderbird is not the best. It looks very outdated and it's lacking behind a lot of other more advanced email clients, but we are working on it. So we need your help to make it super cool. But also, if you like these streamings, just subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Leave it a like, leave a comment below. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, if you have suggestions or something else. So, yeah, it's good. Oh, a lot of time zone things. 9 p.m. in Germany. Yeah, midnight in India. What is Mozilla doing if not paying the devs? Mozilla is paying the devs, the developers of Firefox and other things. Thunderbird is not paid by Mozilla. Thunderbird uses the Mozilla technology, but it's completely independent. It's an open source project that is completely independent. So yeah, we survive on donations. That's the thing. How to fix error 5899 metadata file missing or damaged? I don't know. I love your WordPress blog development tutorials. Can you please make tutorials with WP Rig? I don't like WP Rig. Sorry. I have a couple of more WordPress tutorials to be released soon, so I'm gonna release them soon. Okay. Oh, thank you, Hamza. Thanks for the donation. You're great. Okay. Boom. Yay. What is the future of WordPress development? In my opinion, that's a very broad question. Like in my tutorials or in general WordPress? WordPress, I don't know. Probably hardly focus on React and improving Gutenberg. I don't know what they're doing with the PHP backend. I think the PHP backend will stay almost as it is because it's backward compatible down to version 3 or something. So I think they're very strict on not making that or breaking backward compatibility. But yeah. In terms of my channel, I will keep doing tutorials about custom Gutenberg blocks and other things. I'm gonna start doing a YouTube series how to build a theme from scratch in 2021 because a bunch of things changed, so I want to refresh that series, and I'm rebuilding my wife's website, so I'm gonna use that as a project to do all the tutorials. It's gonna be awesome. Big fan. Thank you, YouTube for good. I like the handle. How can I get web design clients from USA or UK? Just build a portfolio. It's complicated, but build a good portfolio. Use your social network to share your work and apply for jobs and look for clients online. Thanks to the internet, it doesn't matter where people are. It's not like in the past that, oh, I'm in India and it's impossible to find someone in the US because it's too far away. With internet, you can. It's very straightforward. It just needs, like, you need to build a good portfolio. That's the first thing. Like a good website, good portfolio, and be active on social in a positive way. Do you think it's hard to understand the Thunderbird code to contribute? Yeah, Danny answered correctly. Depends on your programming skills. The backend, it's in C++ and Rust, so it's a little bit more complicated. But the majority of the front end is just JavaScript. So I'd say at the beginning, if you start and you open it, it's super overwhelming. Even when I started, it took me a couple of months to understand what the hell was going on. It's very overwhelming, especially because it's a massive, massive code base. It's been around for 20 years. There's a lot of old stuff in there. There's a lot of a million different features. I was impressed how many features Thunderbird has. So even if the UI doesn't look great, it's a great tool. So it takes a lot. I would suggest you, I don't know, try something very, very tiny. Like you can start with, oh, I want this button to make it blue. So you can create a patch that only touches CSS, which is very straightforward. You can start understanding how we handle the CSS on all the different files, and then you can slowly go in there. But yeah, the code base is gigantic, so it takes a while. Thanks, man. Waiting for your custom theme development series. Have a great day. Yeah, you too. Please become my teacher and teach me coding. Hey, just watch my YouTube channel, like all the videos. I have more than 300 videos on coding lessons on pretty much a lot of things, like on PHP and JavaScript and CSS and whatever. Just watch all my videos. You will learn everything, Also, you're 15, so no rush. I'm 35, so it took me a long time to gain this knowledge. It's not something that you learn in a year or two. It takes time and commitment, and it's just no rush. Alrighty, I think we can call it a day. It's the end of this live streaming. We did almost 1 hour and a half, which was amazing. I'll show you the design. We fixed a great deal of some source code, and then yeah, that's it. So probably in a couple of days, I'm gonna release another WordPress tutorial, and then next week, Thursday morning, always Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific time, I will do this live streaming, so be sure to set a reminder and just follow it. And if you have any questions related to Thunderbird, just come along, and if you want me to touch something related to Thunderbird, just ask and I will show you the full process. So it's gonna be pretty awesome. Is the documentation of Thunderbird good enough? Yes, it's very good. Go to developer.thunderbird.net. I wrote a lot of those pages of documentation, so it should be good. And if you have issues or you don't understand, both the website and the developer documentation are on GitHub, so you can open an issue on GitHub and say, hey, this doesn't work for me. Why the documentation is not clear enough, blah, 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 all these other things. So you can definitely check it out. John Oliver, hey man, are you the John Oliver of TV? No, I don't think so. But yeah, that's the end of the live streaming. Thank you so much, guys, for participating. As usual, subscribe to the channel, leave it a like. It helps a lot. Share this video. It helps a lot. My channel is struggling because I'm not uploading as many videos as I used to, but I'm very busy coding. But yeah, okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I talk to you in the next video. Bye. Have a great rest of the day, the night, or whatever you're doing. Okay. Bye, guys.